Hello everyone, Gausen this side. So in the yesterday lecture, we were dealing with the structure of contractile proteins, and today we are starting with a topic called as the mechanism of muscle contraction. So beforehand, I'll tell you that there are two proteins which are responsible for the muscle contraction. The first one is called as actin. The first one is called as actin, and the second is called as myosin. Okay, we already know this. Now, so let's get started. Here, the mechanism of muscle contraction is best explained by sliding filament theory. Okay, the mechanism of the muscle contraction is basically it is best explained by sliding filament theory, which states that the contraction of a muscle fiber takes place by the sliding of the thin filament over the thick filament. Okay, as we already know that the thin filaments are the actin, whereas the thick filaments are the myosin. And what the statement is saying, that the muscle fiber contraction will take place by sliding of thin filament, which means sliding of actin on the myosin. So let's get started. Here, the muscle contraction is initiated by a signal which is sent by the central nervous system. The muscle contraction is initiated by a signal which is sent by the central nervous system via motor neuron. So basically, please do remember one thing, that we have to go for what is the meaning of motor neuron. So the neuron which is bringing the order from the central nervous system to the organ is called as motor neuron, whereas the neuron which is taking signal or stimulus from the organ to the central nervous system is called as sensory. Okay, so basically there are three types of neuron: sensory, motor and mixed. The sensory is the neuron which is bringing the signal from the organ to the brain, and the motor is the neuron which is conducting the order or the signal itself from the central nervous system to the organ, whereas the mixed one is the neuron which is having both the actions. It can take the signal from the organ to the brain or vice versa. Okay, go through. Now, the motor neuron along with the muscle fiber connected to it will be called as a motor unit. Okay, the motor neuron along with the muscle fiber connected to it will be called as motor unit, and the junction between the motor neuron and the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber will be called as neuromuscular junction. Now, for your convenience, I am just drawing here the CNS. Okay, so here I am having a muscle. This is a muscle for me, correct? Okay, now, so there is a neuron which is having that signal from the central nervous system to the muscle. So here, the motor neuron along with the muscle fiber connected to it will be called as motor unit. So here I'll be having the motor unit, correct? This will be called as motor unit. Okay, this portion will be called as motor unit. Now, the location where the neuron and the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber is attached is called as neuromuscular junction. So here like this portion will be called as neuromuscular junction. Again I'll be drawing this. So I'm again drawing a muscle fiber, a muscle here. This is a muscle for me and this is a neuron. So somehow this portion is called as neuromuscular junction. This will be called as neuromuscular junction, or we can call it as motor end plate as well. Okay, the motor end plate, or what is the neuromuscular junction? It is the junction between the motor neuron and the sarcolemma of the muscle, which means the membrane of the muscle fiber. One more case, if I am dealing with the junction between the neuron and the neuron, that will be called as synapse. The junction between neuron and neuron is called as synapse, whereas the junction between the neuron and the sarcolemma of the muscle is called as neuromuscular junction or the motor end plate. Now, the neural signal reaching this junction releases a neurotransmitter. Okay, so the neural signal which is reaching to the junction is releasing a neurotransmitter which is called as acetylcholine. Okay, this is called as acetylcholine. Do remember the case. Now, acetylcholine is generating an action potential. The acetylcholine generates an action potential in the muscle membrane, that is called as sarcolemma. What will happen then if the action potential has been generated? This action potential will be spreading through the muscle fiber and causes the release of calcium ion into the sarcoplasm. Okay, which will be eventually increasing the calcium level, which leads to the binding of the calcium with the subunit of the troponin. I'll be coming back onto this topic. But before and I'll be going through how come the acetylcholine is coming. So somehow here like I'm just drawing the sarcolemma, and here like a lot of the acetylcholine are here. Okay, and this is somehow like my endoplasmic reticulum. This is what which is called as here as sarcoplasmic reticulum. So this acetylcholine will be coming via this way. Okay, this way is also called as T point. Okay, why we are calling this T point? Because this looks like the T. Simple, the letter T. So whenever the acetylcholine is acting on our sarcoplasmic reticulum, it will be secreting calcium. Okay, it will be secreting calcium, and whenever the calcium level is increased in the sarcoplasm, that the cytoplasm of the muscle cell is called as sarcoplasm. So this increase in calcium level will be increasing to the binding of the calcium with the subunit of the troponin on the actin filament. Hopefully you do know that the troponins are present at regular intervals on the tropomyosin. Okay, go through. So whenever the troponin, the calcium is binding with the troponin, it will be removed from the proper actin, and it will be giving the active site for the binding of myosin. Okay, it will be giving the active site for the myosin, because the place where the myosin has to bind is already masked by the troponin on the tropomyosin. Okay, deal with. Now, utilizing the energy from the ATP hydrolysis, as we all know that the muscle contraction is basically an active process. So here we have to deal with the involvement of the ATP as well. So the breakdown of ATP into ADP and orthophosphate. ATP into ADP and orthophosphate, which you call as inorganic phosphate as well. So here, this ATP hydrolysis, the energy which has been released from the ATP hydrolysis, the myosin head now binds to the exposed active site of the actin. Okay, we'll be dealing with the diagrammatic representation. Okay, the myosin head will bind to the active site of the actin here, and this will pulling the attached thin filaments toward the center of A band, anisotropic, or rather we will calling it as myosin. So this will be pulling the attachment. That is what we call it as sliding filament theory. And the Z line which is attached to this actin are also pulled inward. So ultimately here we will be observing the shortening of the sarcomere, because the distance between two Z lines is called as sarcomere. So this sarcomere will be somewhat shortened here. Okay, why? Because the I band has been shortened, or rather like I'll be going for, because the actin has came across each other. Now, okay, so here the straight line attached to these actins are also pulled inward, thereby causing a shortening of the sarcomere. That is what we call as the contraction. So basically it is very much clear in the above step that during the shortening of the muscle, the contraction, the I band gets reduced. Correct? The I band is getting reduced, whereas the A band remains unchanged. Okay? The A band retains the length. The A band retains the length. Okay, go through. Now here the myosin which is releasing the ADP and the orthophosphate goes back to the relaxed state. After first contraction, the myosin will be releasing now the ADP and the orthophosphate which has been formed from the breakdown or hydrolysis of ATP. It will be going back to its relaxed state, and a new ATP will be binding, and the criss-cross bridge will be broken. Okay, go through. A new ATP binds and the cross bridge is broken. Now the ATP is again hydrolyzed by the myosin head, and the cycle of the cross bridge formation will be again taken place. So the new ATP, new contraction, new ATP, new contraction. Again like this will be repeated until the signal has been closed from the central nervous system. Okay. Now here the breakage and the continuation will be repeated, causing the further sliding. Continuously like the sliding will take place till the ATP is there because of the signals. Now this process will continue until the calcium ions are pumped back to the sarcoplasmic reticulum, resulting in the masking of the actin filament by troponin. So ultimately troponin will bound on the tropomyosin, and like the binding site of the myosin is not present here right now because it has been masked by the troponin. Okay, go through. Now this will be causing the return of the Z line back. Okay, the proper shape of the sarcomere will be retained now. So this will be causing the return of the Z line back to their original position. That is what we call as the relaxation. Okay, so two process: contraction and then first will be contraction and the second will be relaxation. Okay, contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation. So basically, now the reaction time of the fiber can vary in the different muscles. Okay, some muscles will be taking longer time as compared to the different muscles. So the repeated activation of the muscle can lead to the accumulation of the lactic acid due to the anaerobic breakdown of glycogen, or rather I'll be calling it as glucose. So basically, do remember one thing: whenever I'm dealing with the aerobic respiration, which means the involvement of oxygen is there, and we do know whenever the oxygen is present, one single glucose molecule can give us 38 ATPs. Okay, 38 ATPs. Now, if the oxygen is not present, then what will happen? If there is no oxygen, this process will be anaerobic. Okay, this process will be anaerobic, and now we'll be getting only 2 ATPs because of the formation of lactic acid and not the pyruvic acid. Okay, we are getting the lactic acid and not the pyruvic acid. So go through. Now here it will be ultimately causing fatigue. Whenever we are working for a long duration, our calf muscle will be giving the signal to the brain that we are exhausted or we are feeling fatigue because of the enough amount of the oxygen has been used from the myoglobin, because the muscle contains a red colored oxygen storing pigment called as myoglobin. Okay, do remember one thing, that the myoglobin is not hemoglobin, rather it is another immobile protein, whereas the hemoglobin can uh, move from one organ to the other with the help of the blood circulation. The myoglobins are stationary and they are restricted to one single muscle only. So myoglobin content is high in some of the muscle. Whenever like the myoglobin content is high in some of the muscle, which gives a reddish appearance, and these muscle will be called as the red fibers. Okay. Now, as compared to these red fibers, these muscles also contain the plenty of mitochondria as well, which are responsible for utilizing the large amount of oxygen in the oxidative phosphorylation, which are stored in them for the ATP production. And ultimately, these muscles will be called as aerobic muscle. Why? Because they have plenty of oxygen. Why they have plenty of oxygen? Because they have plenty of myoglobin. So ultimately, if I'll be going for more myoglobin, more red colored, they'll be called as red fibers. More mitochondria, more ATP synthesis, aerobic muscle. Now, on the other hand, some of the muscle possess a very less quantity of myoglobin. So if they have a very little amount of the myoglobin, they will be having like the pale or the whitish color, and that is the reason they are called as white fibers. Okay, these are the white fibers, and here the number of the mitochondria is also few in them, but the amount of the sarcoplasmic reticulum is high. So do remember one thing, that the contraction will be stronger than the red fibers. The contraction in white fibers will be stronger than the red fibers because the sarcoplasmic reticulum number is high. So they depend on anaerobic process for energy, and they'll be also called as anaerobic muscles. Okay. So a new thing we are learning today is called as red fibers are called as aerobic because they have a huge amount of myoglobin in them, whereas the white fibers are called as anaerobic. Okay, deal with. Now if I'll be going for the diagrammatic representation now, so here this is the diagrammatic representation basically for the stages in the cross bridge formation, the rotation of the head and the breaking of the cross bridge. So here what's happening, basically this is the first portion. Okay, this is the first one. So here we are having, this is the basically this is the actin filament and this is the myosin filament. Okay, now so both of them are not attached, but actin has one single ATP with it, and due after hydrolysis of the ATP, the actin will be bounded with the myosin, because the energy which has been produced from the hydrolysis of the ATP will be used for the binding of the myosin onto the tropomyosin of actin. Okay, so here we are observing that yes, the myosin head has been bounded to the actin's tropomyosin, and here we will be having the sliding. Okay, the formation of the cross bridge proper will be here. The formation of the cross bridge, we are having the myosin head which is properly attached on the actin. Okay, so this is the formation of the cross bridge. And then the last but not the least one, the sliding will occur, or what we call as the contraction or the rotation. So here, like after this sliding, the myosin has lost its ADP and the orthophosphate. And what will happen here? Now again new ATP will be coming onto the myosin head. And whenever the new ATP is coming onto the myosin head, it will be again going for the binding to the actin. So this cycle will continue in this direction every time. Okay, in this direction. So go for what happened in the first, it was the breaking of the cross bridge. Then what happened in the formation of the cross bridge here and here. And then what happened, the final portion is called as the sliding or the rotation of the cross bridge. Deal with, now dealing with the line diagram of this here. So here in the relaxed, contracting and the contracted, so we are having here one Z line, the other Z line, and the third Z line. So which one is the sarcomere? This one is a sarcomere, this one is an another sarcomere. So the region between two Z lines is sarcomere. This, okay, the region between two Z lines is sarcomere. So here we are having H zone as well. This is the H zone, correct? Okay, we have the I band as well. This is the I band, okay, and we have the A band as well, which is the myosin complete. Deal with. So in the relaxed portion, we are observing I band as well, we are observing the H zone as well, and we are observing the A band as well. But whenever all of them are contracting, the distance between the I band and even the H zone is getting lower. You can observe it here. Okay, go through. And whenever the muscle has been contracted, so the actin filament will be overlapping on each other, something like in this direction. Okay, so here you can observe that there is no I band and even no H zone, correct? So in case of the maximally contracted, there is no I band present, not even the H zone, but the A band you can observe. Basically these are the two sarcomere which we are dealing here. So in this sliding filament theory of muscle contraction, the movement of the thin filament and the relative size of the I band at the H zone will be decreased whenever we'll be dealing with the fully maximally contracted muscle fibers. Again, after one single sliding, the myosin will drop its ADP and the orthophosphate, and it will be again going for the searching of the new ATP and hydrolyzing that ATP, and the energy which is utilized, the energy which is formed from the hydrolysis of the ATP will be utilized for binding with the actin again. And this will continue until the signal has been stopped from the central nervous system. So this was all about the mechanism of the muscle contraction. If you do have any kind of questions, you can ask me there in the comment section. Thank you very much for your so much support. Thank you.